Hello once again, I'm Crazy, and you're watching another review for PowetToys.
Action figures.
Today I want to talk about a figure from the Transformers Dark of the Moon line. Now, the line was pretty small compared to the previous movie lines, and it pretty much consisted of a lot of characters we've been getting for a number of years at this point. So much so that I only picked up 4 figures from the line. And those are the new version of Megatron, Skyhammer, Leader Class Ironhide, and Autobot Guzzle. Now, I may eventually get around to covering those other figures, but today, all eyes are on Guzzle. Now, first topic, who's Guzzle? Why should we even care? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Guzzle was a figure in the original Generation 1 Transformers line. He was released in 1988, and he was a Sparkabot, which meant he could shoot sparks out of the back of his tank mode. Now, how that wasn't a safety issue, I have no idea. But there were a few other figures released around the same time from other lines that had a similar feature, including Sorod from the Masters Universe line, which was a movie tie-in. Guzzle overall has had a fairly limited role in the Transformers fiction until recently, when he was featured as a main character in the very well-received IDW miniseries called Last Stand of the Wreckers. Guzzle was one of 4 new recruits to the Wreckers, a team of hard-knock soldiers who served as the Autobots' final solution. The survival rate on the team is less than 50% for each member, and their missions essentially boil down to suicide missions. So you can imagine the story writing opportunities for that revolve around a premise like that. Guzzle himself was a pretty good soldier. He just needed to be pointed in the right direction of the enemy. And most bios for Guzzle also mention that he earned his name because of his incredibly inefficient fuel systems. Despite being in a smaller size class, Guzzle is still pretty much in scale with the Deluxe Generations figures because of the character's diminutive size. For those unfamiliar, Generations is a Transformers toy line that's had many names, but it's brought us updated versions of classic Generation 1 characters with updated articulation and alt modes. Guzzle is packaged in robot mode as part of the Dark of the Moon line. Because of the movie tie-in, the character design basically takes the basic character design and merges it with a movie-style aesthetic. And while something simpler would have been preferred, it's still pretty easily identifiable as Guzzle, so can't really complain too much about that. The figure poses very nicely thanks to some well-placed ball joints at the shoulders, elbows, and hips. Hinged knees and large feet provide him with plenty of stability. His gun can also separate to become the gun and missile launcher that sit atop the tank turret in his alt mode. Before we look at the tank mode, I just want to point out that the cannon on his back has a wide range of motion. You'll note that in the tank mode, the turret does not move and actually locks the cannon in place. Why don't we transform him so we can all take a look. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to pull these arms back. And you can see we're just going to pull the elbows back as well. That will start to form the tank turret on the back. So we'll do the same on the other side. And then we're just going to push them up. All the way up. Same on the other side. So they're touching. Then you can see a peg right there. Just push it in. And you can see right here, as I was saying earlier, this is going to lock the cannon in place when we push these in together. There's one side. There's the other. And now this cannon is completely immobile. Next, we're just going to fold the back half down. And our turret is formed. Now we just need to do the back half. And to do that, we're going to fold these side panels back. And this will be the trickiest part, and it's really just a matter of getting that little tab inside that little hole. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a real pain. And thankfully, that time it was pretty easy. So, once you've managed to do that, you just pull the leg back, fold the toes in, just like that, and rinse and repeat on the same, rinse and repeat same thing on the other side. And make sure the back of the legs are tight together so the back of the tank is fully formed. And here is Guzzle in tank mode. And as I mentioned earlier, we can take the gun sections and place them right in the peg holes. The bottom half of the gun, and here is the top half. And voila! There's not too much to the tank mode. It's nicely detailed and has just enough color to keep it interesting. The tank design is based on the British Challenger 1 battle tank, used by the British through most of the 80s and 90s. You can also note the rear decal right there. It says C313. That is actually the ID number of Guzzle's G1 toy in Japan, which was called Hard Spark. It was the same toy, colored slightly different, but it was the only release of them over there. Pretty neat little reference. That's about all I have to share on Guzzle. I hope it's been helpful. Remember to check out PowetTV for all of your news on gaming, comics, toys, movies, TV, and more. And new videos every Wednesday. And as always, kids, open your toys. Wreck and rule.